We're going to bring in George Packer in 1 minute. But I thought before we did that, we're going to set this up. And then we're going to cross-examine George. I think George is one of the best and the brightest.
I don't think that's what he signed up for.
I don't think it's what he signed up for. I'd love having him on because he's very insightful. But right now, I'm so glad he's on because there's a debate. I think I may be on one side of that debate. And I talked about it earlier. I'm curious what your thought is. You know, there's a lot of talk about how the Democratic Party has to re-examine everything they've done. And I've talked about, massive gains in Texas, in Florida, in Middle America. That is true. But there is another side of that. The slimmest majority in the House of Representatives since Herbert Hoover. You got a 3-vote margin in the United States Senate. And then if you go state by state, less than 1 percentage point in Wisconsin. About less than 1.5 percentage points in Michigan. About 1.5 percentage points in Pennsylvania. That's the difference between a Democratic president and a Republican president. Also, one other thing, when everybody talks about the rise of the far right and everything else, Donald Trump got less votes in 2024 than he got in 2020. Now, I'm not here to say people voted against Kamala Harris in large numbers because she was a woman or because she was a black woman, even though the United States of America almost stands alone in not electing women to the top spot, right? But you look at these states, right? You and I remember, like, 1972, 1984, even 1980. Remember Burt Bye, all of those Democrats that got swept out in these landslides. Kamala Harris barely lost Wisconsin. Tammy Baldwin, Democratic senator, won. Kamala Harris barely lost Michigan, and yet Alyssa Slotkin won. She lost Pennsylvania, but man, they had to go a couple of weeks before figuring out whether Bob Casey had won or lost. So again, we're talking about the thinnest of margins. So this is one of those things we say all the time, two things can be true at once. I believe Democrats need to examine what they've done. At the same time, let's not pretend that this was like a 1984 style landslide. This was an election within the margin of errors. And in those 3 swing states up north, if Harris wins, gets an extra 1.5, 2%, she's president. So are you going to blow everything up for 1.5%?
Yeah, you're not. I mean, in my opinion, you're not. You're gonna settle down. You're gonna step back from the ledge, and you're going to look at a loss because you did lose the election. But no, you're not gonna blow everything up. The country is very evenly divided, and these elections are close one way or the other. If I were advising the Democratic Party, I would say one thing you really need to look at is your declining share among Latino voters. I don't think the Democratic Party understands the Latino community or Latino voters, because there are actually a number of different communities. They don't understand that portion of the electorate well enough, and it's a growing portion of the electorate that needs to be understood. But no, I don't think you have to start from scratch and say let's tear down the entire Democratic Party and build a new one. You did, after all, go into this election with a black and South Asian woman at the head of the ticket. And while we didn't talk about that a whole lot, nonetheless, this is the United States of America, and I don't think you'll ever convince me that had no impact on the result. And again, we're talking 1.5%.
1%.
One way or the other. So,
so to that point,
this is what happened.
But to that point, there is some hard realities and some major work to be done to make for a resounding win so that those issues don't. Let's bring in staff writer for The Atlantic, George Packer, who writes for the publication's new issue about the end of democratic delusions, arguing the 2024 election has launched us into a new era, one he calls the Trump reaction. I thought we were already in that era.
Mr. Packer, we have presented our opening argument. We turn it over to you, the prosecution. Go.
Yeah, I suddenly got the feeling as I was watching earlier that I had actually signed up for a firing squad here.
No.
I will do my best. Look, first of all, don't put me in a corner where I never went. I am not saying the Democratic Party is finished and needs to be rebuilt from scratch. You've been talking about some historical parallels. I would draw an analogy, and Joe, you remember, to 1968 when Richard Nixon barely defeated the incumbent vice president who had taken over for the incumbent president who had withdrawn from the race. That was a really close election, but it signaled a change, a big change, which was the end, really, of New Deal liberalism. It didn't happen all at once. It took maybe 12 years until Ronald Reagan swept it away in 1980. But that's where I'm looking more a trend, which is the trend toward populism, right-wing populism. It's a global phenomenon. Yes, Mika, you're right. It's been coming in this country for 8 years. But the fact that Donald Trump won again, despite being pretty unpopular, despite having tried to overthrow an election, despite being a convicted felon, tells me that trend, that sentiment in the public to get rid of old institutions, to overthrow the status quo, it's a really strong one, strong enough to reelect this, I would say, degenerate felon. And Democrats would be foolish not to look at that and say, we may be defending a status quo that the country has had enough of.